physical quorum of members is physically present, I will entertain a motion to permit Member Dessart, not physically present due to illness, to participate in video conference. Do I have a motion? Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion carries. Okay, I invite everyone to stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Member Gustin, will you please lead the pledge? And I'll ask everyone to remain standing.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this month, our Muslim friends begin their observation of Ramadan. We welcome Adil Fared, former president of the Islamic Center of Naperville, to lead us in the invocation.
Good morning, and peace be upon all of you. In the name of God, the most merciful, the most kind, the most gracious, we praise our Creator, we praise our Lord, we praise the merciful, we praise the one who gives the cure. And today, we ask His forgiveness, and we ask His help and His support. We ask Him to give the cure to those who are not feeling well and those who are facing the health-related challenges. We ask Him to give us the strength and the courage to make the right choices, to make the right decisions. We ask Him to give us the smiles, the happiness, and the ability to work together, to communicate with each other in a manner that is kind, that is civil, that is nice, that is loving, that is kind, so that when we stand in front of Him, He will be rewarding us with our civility, for our civility, our kindness, our mercy. Let the decisions, those are made in this room, leave the legacy that will be for a greater good. Let He make us smile when we are talking to one another. Let He make us discourse and communicate with one another that will be loving in a kind manner. O our merciful Lord, you have given us the ability to stand in front of us today while we can evaluate ourselves. Let your mercy and kindness be upon us when we will be standing in front of you on the day of judgment. Amen.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Cahill. Here. Kaplan.
Here.
Childress. Covert.
Here.
Dessart. Eckhoff.
Here.
Evans.
Here.
Galassi. Garcia.
Here.
Gustin. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatore. Yu and Zay.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I would like to invite Juliana Nelligan, Philip Petty, Rena Calbrazi, and Member Gustin to the podium. Okay. Each year, more than 100,000 people visit Naper Settlement. It is a nationally accredited outdoor history museum that features fun, immersive learning experiences for all ages. But did you know that the land on Naper Settlement was part of one of the most significant donations in our county, comprised of more than 200 acres? As we close out Women's History Month, Member Patty Gustin asked that we recognize this historic donation and the woman responsible for making it, Carolyn Martin Mitchell. I'll read our proclamation honoring Ms. Mitchell and this donation, then I will ask our guests to say a few words. Whereas Carolyn Martin Mitchell and her family were early settlers in the portion of the county that is now Naperville. And whereas Mitchell was a trailblazer leading a successful construction company, Naperville Tile and Brick Works, in the late 19th century and early 20th century, when women did not traditionally do so. And whereas after her death, Mitchell's vision for a living legacy that was realized when the Martin family's 212-acre estate was donated for public use, overseen by the city of Naperville. And whereas Mitchell's former estate is now home to the Napier settlement, which includes her former home and other important institutions in Naperville. And whereas Naperville Central High School, Coke Park, Rotary Hill, portions of Edward Hospital, Linden Oaks, and many more are parts of this historical donation. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Deborah A. Conroy, Chair of the DuPage County Board, and members of the County Board do hereby further recognize Women's History Month by celebrating Carolyn Martin Mitchell and her contributions to DuPage County. Enacted the 28th day of March 2023 in Wheaton. Do I have a motion? And second? Okay, the ayes have it. Do you want to speak?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I actually thought this was so fitting because earlier this, there goes my phone. Earlier this month, we are honoring Women's History Month, and decades and decades, women have been in the forefront of change in the world and in our communities. And so I just thought it was so appropriate to have the Naperville Napier settlement, which is Carolyn Martin Mitchell's donation to the city, to the community, and that it was appropriate because for decades, women have been doing wonderful things, and we've come a long way, ladies. So this is an opportunity to share her story. And this is Raina Calabrese. She is the CEO of Napier Settlement.
I have to tell you, I have the best job in town. I really, really do. I love what I do, and part of the reason that I love it so much is because of moments like this. With our great and immense gratitude, we really, truly thank you from the very bottom of our hearts. It means so much to be recognized by the county. This is a woman that, at the end of her life, there were no heirs. There was nobody. So imagine if you come to your 80s and you look to the left, you look to the right, you look above and you look below, and there is no one. And she really wanted to make sure that her family could live on in a legacy and something that gave importance to what they had done, but also what was to come. And it was in this gift that we became so much more. We're a twice nationally accredited museum. We are leaders in our profession at a national level. And she also did say that the 13 acres that is the museum is a place to gather her community. So imagine how thrilled she would be today to be recognized by her county. Thank you, truly thank you from the Naperville Heritage Society Board. We have one of our board members here, as well as our leadership staff. It means everything. I hope you have a good morning, and again, thank you so much.
Okay, and now I would like to invite member Sam Tonator and Karen Ayala to the podium. This morning, it is my distinct pleasure to ask our Board of Health President, Sam Tonator, and DuPage County Health Department Executive Director, Karen Ayala, to the podium. Over the past few months, Sam, Karen, and I have been engaged in some important conversations about the mental health needs of our county and our vision for the behavioral health continuum of care here on campus and throughout our communities. Sam, I'll throw it to you first to say a few words, and then Karen, take it away.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. You probably have heard about plans that have been going on over at the Health Department to build a building a place that's generically called the Central Receiving Center. This is a place for people in crisis to go to be stabilized, to be evaluated, treated, diagnosed, to better determine what their next course of care would be. Currently, those people are either in police departments or emergency departments. And while the doctors and the police and fire personnel are well-meaning and taking care of them, they're really better served with the professionals who we believe are going to be staffed, and we know will be staffed at our center. Also, it's going to free up the police and fire departments to do what they're supposed to do and to make beds available in emergency rooms so that those doctors can take care of people with heart attacks and strokes and other important things. I'd like to thank the DuPage County Health Department, the board, the staff, our staff here at the county, all of the stakeholders who've been involved in discussions leading up to today, the police and fire departments, the state's attorney's office, public defender, the court system, all of the healthcare systems have been involved in it. We've had great conversations, and we wouldn't be having this conversation this morning or this presentation without Chair Conroy, who, while she was in the legislature, was able to get a $5 million grant, which gave us the foothold, if you will, to make what we have been dreaming about hopefully a reality. Today you're going to hear from Lori Carnahan, our Director of Behavioral Health, as well as Karen Ayala. We're going to give you the nuts and bolts about this. We're very excited about this at the Health Department. We hope you will be as well. And with that, I'm going to give it to Karen.
Thanks so much, Chair Conroy and Sam. And thank you all for this opportunity to share exciting updates. And thank our partners for joining us today, as well as those who may not be with us today physically, but have already contributed significant personal professional resources to get us to this point. Clearly, the transformational project we are sharing today falls under the responsibility and the authority of the DuPage County Health Department, but it is one that requires significant, high, and complex levels of collaboration across sectors of our community in order to successfully achieve just exactly that, a transformation. So let's start with what we know about mental health, substance use issues in our community. It's a really busy slide. I'm going to pull out just a couple of these on the slide and then talk a little bit about what we know about DuPage County. So these are national data. Nearly 50 million, or 19.86 of American adults experienced a mental illness in 2019. 2019, again, pre-COVID. In 11.1% of Americans with a mental illness are uninsured. The second year in a row that this indicator increased since the passage of the Affordable Care Act. Also, 24.7% of adults, 1 in every 4 adults with a mental illness, report unmet need for treatment, and this number has not declined since 2011. When we look at youth in our community, we see that over 60% of youth with major depression do not receive any mental health treatment. An amazing 15.808% of youth experienced a major depressive episode in this past year. And even children who had private insurance did not receive, 8.1% of them did not receive mental health services because their insurance didn't cover it. Nearly 1 million youth, even though the percentage is low, it represents nearly 1 million youth. We also know that in DuPage County, the hospitalization rate of adults due to suicide and self-injury is higher than the state and national average. We know that ER visits and hospitalizations for both youth and adults due to alcohol use is higher than our counterparts. And extremely concerningly, we know that depression rates amongst DuPage County youth are nearly twice as great as their national counterparts. We also realize these realities are impacting every facet of our communities, and we need to do better and provide a different solution than the one we have in place. Now this slide, besides being just visually appealing, this photo symbolizes several key lessons as we approach this effort. Number one, the health department understands the need for mental health and substance use disorder treatment is a tremendous one. It is an awesome and a very large responsibility. Number two, this formation was not created with one effort in one ice age. The elements of this were carved out over time and pieces were removed and it led to protruding in other areas. But we have been investing resources as a Board of Health in behavioral health services since the 1960s. Third, this journey is a marathon, not a sprint. Over the last 60 years, we have been deliberate in our approach to addressing behavioral health needs of our community by strategically layering on the critical system components of someone to call, someone to respond, and somewhere to go. Now, like projects that have been created previously, this one will not address or resolve the vast and complex needs around behavioral health, both mental health and substance use in our community. It won't solve every issue, but it will create a platform or a foundation for what comes next. Now, one of the ways that we've arrived here from a priority perspective, because as you all know, public health has many competing demands, our Impact DuPage Collaborative is the name for our community health assessment and improvement planning process. And with the input from thousands of residents, this current plan has prioritized these two areas of focus. But again, to my earlier point, we are starting with tools and resources that have been created over the past 60 years. Lori's going to provide us with an overview of the current behavioral health crisis system and then a glimpse into the next exciting new phase. So Lori, oops.
Good morning, everyone. So before we jump into the next glimpse and kind of the exciting project, it's really important for everyone to understand what we do at the health department now to meet the needs of the community with our crisis services. So I'm going to walk through some data, give you a little bit of understanding of what's happening in crisis services now. But really, we offer right now 2 crisis hotlines. One is our county crisis line, which is the pretty traditional county line that's been available for many, many years. And we also offer 988, which is a national hotline. So we're one of 200 centers across the country and one of 6 in Illinois that offers intervention support for people calling into that 988 hotline. We also offer mobile crisis response. So that's a team of a mental health professional and also oftentimes an engagement specialist that goes out into the community and meets the person in crisis where they're at to really be able to try to provide intervention, support, and in linkage to the lowest level of service that we can possibly provide. And what I mean by that is trying to avoid an inpatient hospitalization. So if we can link with services, if we could start services the next day or get someone into a partial program, those are really the goals of those mobile crisis responders, because a lot of times people just need support and linkage and don't necessarily need that higher level, but they don't know what else to do. So they go to an emergency room or things like that. And so our mobile crisis folks can get out there and really try to alleviate the crisis in that moment. And then at our 115 building right on campus, we have a 12-bed crisis residential unit. So that is short-term crisis stabilization for adults that are 18 and over It's voluntary, it's unlocked, it's really meant to be either a deflection from hospitalization, so an opportunity for people to go stabilize and really work through, work towards their recovery, get linked with services, see a doctor, all of those types of things without needing those higher levels of care. So just to give a little bit of data and context of what our crisis staff are doing every day, on the left you'll see numbers for 2022, and these are total numbers of services provided. So our 627-1700 is our crisis hotline. So we take over 30,000 calls a year. 988 is over 5,000. Mobile crisis teams is over 2,000 responses a year. And then the on-site evaluations I'm going to talk about in just a minute. But I want to make note on the right-hand side as well is to really call out when you have tools and available. For our crisis line, 94% of all of our calls are resolved by phone support. So really, they're calling in, they're getting what they need in that moment, and their situation is resolved for the moment, possibly linked to care. Same with 988, you'll see 89% are resolved through some phone support. And then our mobile crisis response, that 47%, that is really the outcome of that mobile crisis response is a deflection. So that means that we are able to provide services that are within the community, so not needing that inpatient level of care. So that's an over for all of our mobile crisis responses. We do youth and we do adults for mobile crisis responses. And the good news is that if you take out just youth, that number goes up to 54% are able to be community stabilized. And then just to call out that bottom number, so the on-site crisis evaluations. So people coming to our 115 building today, so there's just over 500 evaluations a year. 96% of those individuals were able to be community stabilized, right? So they are really, if you're going somewhere where a mental health professional is available to you, can kind of work through that intervention at that time, we are able to stabilize in the community and really link to a lower level of care. That could include our crisis residential program, it could include outpatient services, all different things. But it really is important that when somebody has the right place to go, it really drives up that ability to not have to overuse those higher level resources. So this data point just really represents our mobile crisis responses throughout the community today. So with our over 2,000 responses, this is just a map of where those individuals are living. So this is just kind of a caveat to this data. This isn't necessarily where the crisis response took place or that mobile crisis response took place, because as you can see on the right-hand side, that number 843, those are people that were in crisis somewhere in DuPage County. So we provided that crisis response in DuPage County, and then we linked them back to where they live. So they didn't live in DuPage County, but they were here. So if you don't see your communities up there, they might be sprinkled in there, and you might have people that are being seen all over the county. But this is really just a representation that we're out in the community. We're all throughout DuPage County for mobile crisis response for both adults and youth. And this is a representation of our 988 calls, just to give a little context of what we're seeing. So on the left, you'll see the primary presenting issues. So overall, mental health, family relationships. You can see suicide is 18%, so that is that somebody is calling in with some type of active suicidal ideation. But on the outcomes on the right, again, that 89% represented that, that was resolved over the phone. And less than 5% were really needing to reach out to 911 to provide a higher level of care. So those are the calls if we're interacting with somebody that really is in need of it. It's a safety issue. They need something right now. It is less than 5% of the calls that we take. And then same for our crisis line. So again, over 30,000 calls a year, and only 2.17% of those calls need a 911 intervention. So our mobile or our crisis counselors that are on the phones all day long, they're really providing that level of intervention and support that is meeting the needs of those callers. And then if they really need something more, they have the tool to be able to call 911 and really determine what that person needs. And this is just some data from our respite program. It's called a lot of different things: crisis residential, crisis respite, crisis stabilization, but this is our short-term stabilization program. So as you can see, we served about 315 clients last year. That middle section, that data point, is really just a nice thing that when people are coming in and respite is recommended as that level of care for them, 84% of people are saying, yeah, that seems like the right level of care for me. You know, if because they can say, it's open and voluntary, they can say that's really not the right setting and I want to go to the hospital or things like that, but 84% are saying, yep, this is the right level of care, and I can try this as the next step in my recovery. And then the right-hand side just shows that we have a wide variety of referral sources for our respite unit. People are coming in self-referred, our external partners, hospitals, law enforcement, and then within our own programming, maybe somebody's struggling in an outpatient program and they can be referred to our services. So as we talk about expansion and as we talk about the next steps for DuPage County, it's important to really kind of take a note of our journey and where we've been with this. As Karen mentioned, we've been doing this since the 1960s. So mental health services, that was the first time that we opened our first location. So fast forward a little bit to our more recent journey that really helped us build these stepping stones for crisis services. The main one was 2012 when we joined the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which is now 988. So we've been a center for 11 years, and really that afforded us the opportunity to really see that national level picture and look at best practices, understand what other organizations are doing with their crisis response. So it was important for us to offer the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at the community level, but also as an organization, it really linked us to some really amazing things, which actually included 3 federal grants that were very specific to suicide prevention and making sure that people didn't fall through the cracks. So as you kind of walk a little bit further, 2015, we opened our new community center on campus, and that is where our crisis services are located. So expanded our footprint, it actually increased our respite beds, so really gave us the room to be able to grow and build. We then umbrellaed substance use under our services. We worked with Policy Research and Associates and did a sequential intercept mapping workshop that really looked at mental health and criminal justice. And that was in 2017. That was a lot of community stakeholders coming together to really look at that system, identify opportunities and gaps. And what that did, that was the first time that the Central Receiving Center model was talked about and identified as a priority. And then we put that in our behavioral health collaborative, which is our collaborative that meets within DuPage County, providers, consumers, law enforcement, all of our community stakeholders for mental health and substance use that really try to push these initiatives forward. And so that became a priority back in 2017. Then we kind of continued to move on. We've tried different pilot programs through the Behavioral Health Collaborative, where we offered a decentralized model, so where we could meet police out into the community, an EMS transport pilot, which allowed EMS to drop off at the crisis unit. So really kind of looking at different models, seeing what fits in our community, all of those things to really get to where we are today. And then lastly, in the last couple of years, the state has really gotten behind that national model of someone to call, someone to respond, and somewhere to go. So they have offered some increased funding where we have been able to expand our mobile crisis response staffings and really be able to look at things a little bit differently. So it was really nice to see that happen because that's what we've really been working toward for many, many years. Oh, there we go. So planning for success. This is really a shout out that we're really looking at a lot of different models, a lot of national best practices. I mentioned SAMHSA, I mentioned Policy Research Associates, Health Management Associates has a lot of work done in this space. We've even gone on site visits and had consultations with other models through some grant funding over the years. This is really an opportunity for us to be able to develop something specific and unique to DuPage County. There is not one model out there that is the perfect fit for us. It really is a combination of pulling all of these things together and really seeing what works and what is best for our community. So when we talk about that ideal crisis system, this is really what it looks like. So again, that someone to call, someone to respond, and somewhere to go model. And really at the top, that tagline of every person receives the right service in the right place every time. So having the entire system in place is really important. The central receiving center model is not going to take the place of our mobile crisis response teams or our 988 or our county crisis hotline, right? It's how it all works together, and then that kind of community partner involvement to really create a system that most benefits our community. So as you can see on the bottom, all of those things that are checked already exist for us. And now is really our step and our next step in having the central receiving center model a reality in DuPage. So the goal is really for us to be that crisis services hub. So if you can see kind of around in those boxes, it's a lot of what we do now, and then adding those central receiving center services for youth, for adults, and the potential to have sobering and detox available on site as well. So really a lot of different services, a lot of different pathways for people to be able to go and get the help that they need. So when we talk about who benefits, really this model is to have that one location to be able to have somewhere to go to have their needs met in that moment, to have that evaluation, assessment. Really it's that triage of what's going on today, what can we do, what needs to be put in place to get you stabilized right now, and then to have that longer term plan. So when we're talking about who benefits that individual in crisis, it really is always knowing where to go, always knowing what's available, and having a space that is not necessarily an emergency room, a place where they're going to have a lot of other things happening and a lot of other things going on. This is specific to mental health and substance use. It's an open, calming place and is really meant for somebody to get that treatment that they need, but really also to have that in a calming and soothing environment. So law enforcement will have that single point of drop-off. Drop them off here. Let us try to meet their mental health and substance use needs how we can. Same for EMS. Hospital systems, really to reduce that number of individuals that are going to the hospital because they're not sure what else to do. So we hear from our hospital systems, there's lots of people that are going there. It's not that they need that inpatient level of care, but there really is nowhere else for them to go to, when they're in that moment, and that seems like that easy and traditionally that's how they get the services they need. And then just the community as a whole. It really, it provides services to the entire community at the level that is needed by mental health and substance use professionals. So when somebody gets there, what's going to happen, right? So there's services available, and this is up to 24 hours. This is really trying to get to the matter that is causing them this issue right now. So that we're available 24/7, crisis intervention, assessment, evaluation to determine what their levels of care are needed. Hopefully that referral and warm handoff to that most appropriate level of care. So even if they're needing an inpatient level of care, the hope is that then they can bypass the ER, right? That we can work with the hospitals, we can get them a direct admit, all of those things that just make it less stressful on the individual that's already in crisis. Linkage to health insurance, food, job placement, having those community health workers there on site to really be able to help assist. We know crisis isn't always about a mental disorder or a substance use disorder, and it might just be that their level of stress at that point, due to a lot of other factors, are really inhibiting their ability to function in the moment. And then that level of sobering detox. We know substance use is an issue, and we really need to have a place for somebody to go to be able to have that time, to be able to have that sobering, potentially some detox, and then be able to determine their next level of care. So this is just a visual of kind of what those entry and exit points are that I've talked through a little bit. So really kind of having ability for law enforcement, EMS, family, walk-ins, anybody to be able to just come to drop off to this location. And then, you know, triage, evaluation happens, and at the end of it, you know, there's linkage to community resources, outpatient mental health and substance use, sending them home with a really good plan in place with a, you know, follow-up services for the next day and the next couple of days. And then as you kind of walk through that continuum, knowing that there's still going to be individuals that come to this location that need a higher level of care. So really helping get them to where they need to be, whether that's an inpatient mental health or substance use, a hospital emergency room, or for maybe a medical issue that, that needs to be addressed, or jail if that is still going to be their final outcome. So we do have a proposed location. So our 115 County Farm Road, so as you can see this, the community center in that red box, the community center is on the right, and this location would be right next to it, and an addition that really connects everything. This was the ideal space for us because it really does allow us to be able to have all of our crisis services working together at one time in our already existing crisis residential facility is there. So this is really the ideal location to create this central, you know, this crisis hub. And lastly, this is kind of just a visual. It's really just in a concept and design phase, but just to give you something to look at. All right, and with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Karen to talk about planning and next steps.
Thanks, Lori. So we've talked about clinical, community, and even some operational elements. Let's turn now to fiscal reality and sustainability. The Board of Health at their March retreat approved a design contract that will create an updated, fully analyzed financial and building plan. Our plan at this point is to partner between the health department and the DuPage County Board to fully fund the capital investment. So far, we have secured $5 million as Member Tornatore and President Tornatore indicated. Many thanks to then Rep Conroy for getting that allocation from the Capital Infrastructure Fund at the state. We also applied for and received $1 million in congressional funding from Representative Caston's office. That combined with ARPA dollars that we anticipate being unspent from the health department, as well as our savings at the savings account at the health department, will allow us to come back to this board to request additional amount. We don't have that final number at this point. We'll be very happy to share that when we have that with you, and hope and plan that that will be in June. From an operational perspective, we are working with our partners to make sure that we have every element from safety, security, to laundry, all of the kinds of things that go into this accounted for, budgeted for. And then from a sustainability perspective, we're also working with our partnerships. Back to that slide of who benefits in the community: police benefit, EMS benefit, hospital benefits. Well, our philosophy with these types of collaborative projects is if you benefit, potentially you are also a benefactor, right? And can assist us with the ongoing sustainability. At this point, if all things were exactly like they are today, and we already anticipate some increased reimbursements from Medicaid at the state level, we anticipate that Nearly 40% of our ongoing annual costs would be covered through Medicaid reimbursement. And so we are already starting again with, in a positive kind of cash flow issue. From a timeline perspective, early on I mentioned it's a marathon, not a sprint. We anticipate that if everything goes without interruption, we would be able to open the doors to this facility in 2025, early 2025. We are confident of that because we have engaged, and as President Tornatore mentioned, we have been meeting with these different groups across the community for the last several months. The organizations represented on this slide not only have been meeting with us previously, but have committed personnel to assist in the planning, development of the project to see it through to success. We are targeting 3 areas currently: the financing, operations, and coordination, and have work groups who are meeting. Again, the idea is to realize that the behavioral health crisis system is more than a single crisis program. It's an organized set of structures, processes, and services that are in place to meet all types of urgent and emergent behavioral health crisis needs in a defined population or community, both efficiently and effectively. So, some takeaways for today. Key takeaway, and we call it the Central Receiving Center. That's a model. That's an academic phrase. That's not what we're going to call this facility, but that's what. So it is one component of the crisis system expansion. This model leverages and builds on the foundation of the existing crisis services. We are, as Lori pointed out, customizing best practices from across the country and, in fact, the world to fit the needs of DuPage County residents. And the expanded facility is projected to open in 2025. But remember, that's the facility. All of those services that Lori mentioned are open now. I'd like now to reward those 2 individuals who have been so very patient and ask if State's Attorney Berlin and Chief Torp would like to say a few words as well.
Thank you. So I am a huge supporter of this initiative because the reality is we're not the first to do it. They've been doing it in Miami-Dade County for the last 20 years, and they've been doing it in Tarrant County, Texas. And both models have been extremely successful. We have better outcomes, and the reality is it improves public safety because there are many individuals truly in need of services and treatment, and if we can get them those services and treatment ahead of time, we're going to prevent criminal activity. So it's a win for them, it's a win for the community, which is why I just think this is such a great idea and want to thank Member Tornatore for your support, Chair Conroy for your support, and I would urge the board to completely get behind this project because I think we all agree anything that improves public safety is something that we should support. Thank you.
Morning. I'm actually here as representative of DuPage Chiefs. I was asked to be on this committee by them, and the Chiefs feel the same way. If you look at some of their numbers, over 5,000 calls to 988, 94% resolved via phone. In our world, that's 5,000 less calls that we had to go to because we don't do things over the phone. So when it comes to that part of it, that's a huge win for all law enforcement. And the people, depending on how they respond to law enforcement's presence, it's probably better that a lot of these situations are handled over the phone like that, honestly. From an operational standpoint, being with the Sheriff's Office and being on campus, that's something that we're working through because that will change some of our operational procedures we have to have here on campus. Some of the things that still have to be worked out. If they get brought here and they're an arrest from a local PD, they decide that they're going to send them here instead, and then somehow that turns into a situation where it's still that local PD's problem, getting them back here to handle their situation so that it all doesn't fall on us. We wouldn't have the authority to make an arrest on something that didn't happen in our area at that point. But those are all things we're working through, and by the time this comes around in 2025, that'll all be figured out. So, any questions?
Okay. Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Karen, and all for the presentation this morning. I'm thrilled to see this. I support this 100% and more. So what is the plan for educating the public to not call 911, to call 988 instead, and to kind of change that mindset that the emergency room or the police are the first call, and how do we change that over?
Yeah, and I think that is definitely a campaign over time. We have to get the words out, and especially 988 and 911. 988 launched in July, and I think is at the state level is still really working out how 988 and 911 are going to connect, what that's going to look like. There's regional committees set up for that, but I do think it is going to be, once all of those are, pieces are finalized and how that operates together, we really want to get that out. But 988 right now, we want that out there. We have a lot of social media out there. We've worked with law enforcement to be able to get that out. I know the Chiefs Association has posted it in the last week, I think. But really wanting to be able to get the word out now. We don't want to be a secret, right? We want our services out there and available.
So if somebody calls 911 with a mental health emergency now, are they being referred over to, I'm sure they're not saying, oh, we can't help you, call 988.
Right.
But how does that look?
Yeah, so currently the structure exists as is. When somebody is calling 911, it is a 911 response. So the system is so new with 911 and 988, and that my guess will not change until we really start working and have some resolution at the state level of what that's going to look like. But currently, if somebody calls 911, they will get a 911 response. Hopefully, we can then get officers to be able to hand out those 988 cards, so maybe the next time they're calling 988 and not 911.
Okay, Member Garcia.
Yeah, thank you all for such a great work you're doing on this. I've been looking forward to this presentation for I cannot tell you how long. I am very excited. I mean, I'm so excited to see that right now, 94% of the problems have been resolved just with what's going on there now. But my fear is for the other 6%. So, and I know it's not a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. But I know that the faster we could get this through to help people, because I know people are suffering out there, but I just want to thank you for your great work and what you're doing, and so I'm looking forward to it. I will be a huge supporter all the way along, you know that, so thanks.
Okay, Member Guston.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Wonderful initiative, absolutely wonderful, and I do see the benefit that'll come out of this, particularly for our young people, because we have a lot going on there. Do we have any idea of the approximate total construction cost on this project?
So I don't want to give you a number, but I will give you a range. Because then I'm less likely to be, yes. So it's more than 20, it's less than 25 million.
Spoken like a real attorney, but I know you're not. And then the other one, there was a slide on there of 843 non-DuPage residents. So was that then the little map thing, does that calculate into 843 individual or calls, and it's broken down by areas?
No,
or
all
is
of
that
the,
in addition?
In addition.
Okay, all right.
But again, when you asked them what your address was, it was somewhere outside of DuPage County, but they were,
In
they
DuPage.
came to our attention in DuPage County.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Okay, Grant.
I was just wondering how many of the calls that you receive are repeat phone calls?
Larry.
you.
Yes.
So we do have a fair amount of repeat callers. We do not track every call. Calls can be anonymous. They may not give us enough information, but we know we do have many repeat callers. And really, if they're utilizing us and they're getting that intervention that they need, and that keeps them good for the next week or two, that's an okay thing too. But we do know that
Do you
exists.
forward them on to somebody who can give them long-term care? Because if they're just calling and getting through the night over and over and over again, the problem's not going away.
Correct, yes. So we're always engaging in discussion of services and needs. Sometimes they really are just in need of support at times. So it might be somebody that doesn't necessarily need ongoing long-term services, but just kind of needs a boost here and there. But our emergency services counselors are really always trying to identify that through that risk assessment and evaluation, and then linking to appropriate services within the community. So they have a wide list of not only our health department services, but services throughout the community. And if they're calling into 988, we can tap into their local community mental health centers across the nation. So if we're getting somebody that has a 630 area code, but now they're living in Texas, we might be able to link them. So we're always trying to utilize those resources to link them to necessary services.
And then the other thing is, I know I've talked to at least Karen and Chris about it before, but there's been a couple of 708 boards that have been established in the county, and Barb Lehman's here, raise your hand, who's working maybe on a county-wide referendum for something like that to keep down the administrative costs. So I guess I'm suggesting if you can work with them or be introduced to them as an additional funding source, an additional way to get more services to more people, that would be a good thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, anybody else?
So if I could just, the last piece on our presentation was how to get a hold of Lori and myself. I'm excited to be launching this project. I won't be around for the actual opening of the project, although I will be watching its progress from afar. So I have recently made the decision and let the Board of Health know that I have decided to retire at the end of June, and I am very excited, although not at all sure what the next chapter involves, but I think that's part of the adventure, and I remember embarking on my career and being very ready for adventure. That kind of, that kind of happened to me these last couple of years, but now I'd like to create my own adventure in this next chapter. So I just appreciate all of your support over the years and those who have come before you. And I feel confident with this project because of the depth of individuals and the talent of individuals that we have within the health department, as well as across the community who are supporting us, which goes, not to discount these two wonderful supporters, but goes well beyond them. So I have no doubt that this will be successful, and again, thank you.
Well, on that bittersweet note, I just want to say that the amount of work, the tremendous amount of work that the health department has done under the leadership of Karen Ayala is something we should all be incredibly proud of. And we know that she's gotten us. I'm very grateful to her to have stayed for this, to get us really where we need to be, because she's the one who really has all of the vision and expertise. So we're in great hands there. Okay, we'll move on. Just a couple of updates this morning. Last Thursday, I was delighted to host my colleagues here for the Council of County Chair meeting. We discussed transportation and transit needs, economic development initiatives, and both state and federal funding opportunities. I believe it's important to keep an open, active line of communication with our surrounding counties. More often than not, our interests align. We can work together to promote our region and find solutions to the challenges we face. I thank President Tony Preckwinkle, Jennifer Barentino-Tarrant, Corinne Perrong, Sandy Hart, Mark Bueller, and Scott Gengler for joining us in DuPage County. Thanks also to staff and CMAP for coordinating our meeting. I welcome these important opportunities to collaborate. 2 calendar items. Mark your calendars for April 11th. Our chairs of the Ad Hoc Committee for Housing Solutions are hosting the first meeting of this committee. All are invited to attend. Meeting time is 1 p.m. here in the county boardroom. And on April 25th, DuPage County and Choose DuPage are hosting a workshop for disadvantaged business enterprise. To learn how to do business with DuPage County, the DuPage County Procurement Services Division will be on hand to explain and the purchasing process. That event is April 25th, beginning at 1 p.m. in our 421 building auditorium. And now we will move on to public comment. On the matter of public comment, according to our county board rules, members of the public shall be afforded time to address the board. Individual remarks shall not exceed 3 minutes in length, nor shall the total time provided for all remarks exceed 30 minutes. Our first speaker will be
Stephen Elrod.
Madam Chair, members of the Board of Commissioners, my name is Stephen Elrod. I represent VK Acquisitions, which is the petitioner on your item 10D. We've spoken with Commissioner Rutledge as well as your staff, and we are, I think you know this, but we're respectfully requesting a continuance of our matter to a date certain. I know that that'll occur later in your agenda, but I want to give you that heads up, and be happy to answer any questions that the board may have, but that's our request.
Okay, thank you. We can't do questions, but
No,
thank you for your comments.
Roger Hughes.
Good morning. I'm Roger Hughes, a resident of Glen Ellen and a member of DuPage United. I think we can all agree that a jail or a crowded emergency room is not the best place to help someone who's in the midst of a mental health or substance abuse crisis. Yet these have been the only 2 choices DuPage County first responders and first responders statewide have had when they intervene with somebody in such a crisis. Since 2016, one of DuPage United's primary objectives has been the decriminalization of mental illness and substance abuse crises, and particularly the establishment of crisis stabilization services in DuPage County. Being in crisis is not a crime, and being in crisis shouldn't land you in a jail or a crowded emergency room. We are so grateful for the leadership and vision of the DuPage County Health Department and this county board in recognizing the need for crisis stabilization services in DuPage County and doing something about it. And not just something. With the proposed Behavioral Health Crisis Center and its comprehensive crisis stabilization services, DuPage County will now be a standard and a model that hopefully other counties will follow. On behalf of myself and my fellow DuPage United leaders, we want to thank you for being champions for mental health and substance abuse crisis services and applaud you for your decisive, vital steps you're taking today. Thank you.
Brian Armstrong. Brian Armstrong.
Good morning. My name is Brian Armstrong. I represent the applicant, Clear Channel Outdoor, on item 10E on your agenda. The applicant is requesting a conditional use to swap out an existing static billboard sign for a digital sign. The existing sign has been in place for more than 30 years. It's a static sign that's illuminated overnight, and they're requesting to put up a digital sign. The digital sign will have a monitor on it that monitors the environment, the light in the environment, so it knows when it's daytime, it knows when it's nighttime, it knows when it's sunny and bright out, and it knows when it's cloudy out. and that monitor will adjust the brightness of the sign in real time. So if it's cloudy in the morning, it turns the brightness down. If it turns sunny in the afternoon, it can turn the brightness up. And the most important thing about it is it will always be in compliance with the county's standards for brightness. I know there were some public comments about the sign creating light and affecting people across the street on the east side of Rawling Road. The other thing I'd like you to know is that the sign is angled to the southwest, so it's visible to cars driving north on 355, but the sign face is not visible to the properties on the east side of Rawling Road. It won't shine light into their houses, and the sign itself is not visible from those properties. I think it complies with, it will comply with all the standards, and we request that you approve the conditional use request. Thank you.
Michael Clulo. Steve Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members. I'm Steve Johnson. I represent the East Branch DuPage River Trail, or the Friends thereof. We're not on the agenda today. We have been in the past and hope to be in the future. We have many supporters sitting here. For new members, I'd just like to point out that we are in the midst, you are in the midst, of constructing a nature greenway that will connect the county north to south all the way. We're looking for support for that, ongoing support. Recently, thanks to a congressional earmark, progress has happened on this trail. The Transportation Department is going to be able to proceed with Phase 1 engineering from Butterfield Road all the way up to the Great Western Trail, and we'll be connecting the Great Western Trail with the Prairie Path. So this is a District 4 real estate project at the moment, but it affects the entire county. Everyone will have access to this trail, thanks to our beautiful trail network already. By gum, now we want the support of our elected officials in deciding exactly how we will place this trail. The Transportation Department's job is to find the easiest, fastest, and cheapest way to build this trail. Our job is to see that maybe we don't take that route, that we find the best route for this trail, the one that makes it easiest for users for decades, for centuries to come to use this trail. So we'd love to meet with all of you. We'd love to have your support in getting this trail sited, in getting it connected, and in adding to the beautiful greenways that we have already in DuPage County. We're also having an event on April 22nd, so get out your bicycles, County Board members, and come out and join us. Brian will talk a little bit about that in a moment. Thank you very much for your attention.
Robert Peters. Robert Peters. James Bishi.
Good morning. My name is James Bieshke. I'm speaking today on the Clear Channel proposal. I believe it's item 10E on the agenda. I'm here representing 26 homeowners to voice our objections to the intrusion of more LED lighting into our neighborhood by Clear Channel Outdoors. 26. The Clear Channel petition has already been approved by the Zoning Board and the Development Committee. And I'm asking myself, am I really living in a county where support for the financial interests of one company supersedes the unanimous objections of 26 homeowners? Last week, speaking on another petition, the Development Committee noted that the function of the board is not to enhance people's property values. I can accept that. But by the same token, I would submit that the function of the board is not to harm or destroy people's property values either. and that is exactly what the Clear Channel petition will do. 2 single-family residences sit a mere 200 feet from the base of the south side of the billboard where this digital lighting is proposed. Now, Clear Channel has stated that there are electronic controls in place that moderate the LED lighting during cloudy and overcast days. That is something that literally nobody cares about, because at night the LED lighting remains obnoxiously and overwhelmingly bright. At night it will shine directly into those 2 homes, going on and off, red, yellow, blue, and green flashing off their walls as the messages change. That will make the peaceful enjoyment of their homes impossible and literally destroy the residential value of those 2 properties. Is that something the county board really wants to do? Other homes in our neighborhood will also be negatively impacted by the intense lighting emitted from this LED billboard at night because it radiates off the edge of those signs. Allowing any company to profit to the financial detriment of DuPage County homeowners is, in our view, unconscionable. It is not and should not ever be a function of this board. This digital signage has no place in our neighborhood. It is harmful to homeowners on every level. I respectfully implore you to disapprove the Clear Channel petition. Thank you.
Ginger Wheeler.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ginger Wheeler. I'm the I'm the president of the Friends of the East Branch DuPage River Trail. I just wanted to welcome everybody to the board and talk a little bit about the East Branch DuPage River Trail. Some of you may not be familiar with it. It may be kind of new to you, but it's not new to me. I've been working on this since 2014, trying to see that the trail that has been part of DuPage County's comprehensive plan since at least the early 1990s actually comes to fruition at some day. Hopefully it will with this grant that Steve mentioned that came through from the federal 2023 appropriations bill due to Sean Kasten's office and work on that. I did want to share with you that we have really overwhelming community support for this project. I have here in my hand hundreds, maybe thousands of signatures, petitions that we have been collecting over the last few years. We also have an online petition that anybody can sign. You can get to it at eastbranchtrail.org and sign it to show your support and get linked into our network of trail activists. We have several here with us in the audience who are here to show their support as well. And we just wanted to say thank you for all you've done for it so far and keep up the good work. And if there's any questions or you need anything, feel free to reach out to us. Thanks.
Brian Kalbfleisch.
Hi, thank you. My name is Brian Kelpfleisch. I'm the owner of Retro Glow Cycles in Lombard, Illinois, and a supporter of the East Branch DuPage River Trail. As a longtime resident and small business owner, I've seen firsthand how the trails benefit our community, for our local community members when they want a safe and sustainable way to access our small businesses downtown. The trails provide that for them. The trails also bring in many adventurers from outside of DuPage who then spend their money at our small businesses, increasing the tax revenues for DuPage County. The trails also bring the ability to have events, and one of the events that we're having is on April 22nd on Saturday. It's a Rails to Trails, Celebrate the Trails Day. And this event, we are bringing together the community. So Friends of the East Branch, in conjunction with the Lombard Historical Society, we're going to have historians talk about the history of our trails. We're also going to have many small businesses who understand the benefit of the trails come together to service the community. And also we're going to have a 5-mile bike ride that will traverse the Great Western Trail, the Illinois Prairie Path, and the parts of the East Branch DuPage River Trail that are built already. The East Branch DuPage River Trail is important because it will create that north-south corridor that is sorely missing that will allow more of our community to be able to access our downtowns in Glen Ellen, Lombard, Villa Park, and beyond. So I encourage you all to work together and let's get this trail built so we can all enjoy the benefits to our community. Thank you.
Elizabeth Atlarn.
Hello, good morning. My name is Elizabeth Ahern, and I am also with the Friends of the East Branch DuPage River Trail. The last time I came to speak to you all with my kids, she was a newborn. Hazel, how old are you going to be pretty soon?
3.5.
She's 3.5 right now, so almost 4. And I started working on it before Jacob could ride a bike. This trail is such an asset, as you heard Brian speak to, for our community. And I live in Lombard, but I live in the south part of Lombard, so I'm unable to safely access with my bike or walking the existing trail amenities that we have in central DuPage County. So I am so hopeful, as well as so many of my neighbors in the Butterfield East neighborhood, to get this trail completed. And I really want to thank you for your work. There's been so much progress thanks to the county board members and the grant from Sean Caston. Since I last spoke to you, my kids have grown and the trail project continues to as well. So I just want to say thank you and to urge you to continue your great work on completing the East Branch DuPage River Trail. Thanks. I say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hazel. Okay, the board has received public comment via our online portal. Per board policy, those comments were provided to board members yesterday so they could be reviewed, and comments submitted electronically will be included in the minutes of this meeting. On to the consent items. I seek a motion to approve the consent agenda. Okay, we will move on to 7A. 23-1307, DuPage County Board Minutes, regular meeting, Tuesday, February 28, 2023. 7B, 23-1311, DuPage County Board Minutes, regular meeting, Tuesday, March 14th, 2023. 7C, 23-11-18-3-9-2023, auto debit pay list. 7D, 23-11-27, 3-10-2023 pay list. 7E, 23-11-56, 3-14-2023 pay list. 7F, 23-12-33, 3-17-2023 pay list. 7G, 23-12-59, 3-21-2023 pay list. 7H, 23-11-14, 3-8-2023 Corval wire transfer. 7I, 23-11-28, 3-10-2023 IDOR wire transfer. 7J, 23-12-60 change orders to various contracts as specified in the attached packet. 7K, 23-11-24 County Recorder Monthly Revenue Statement, February 2023. And now I'd like to move on to item 8. Oh, all those in favor, I'm sorry. Okay, motion carries. I'd like to move on to item 8 in finance with member Liz Chaplin.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I move approval of FIR 009423, acceptance and appropriation of interest earned on investment for the DuPage Animal Friends Foundation coordinator in the amount of $1,000.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert. Desart. Eckhoff. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia.
Aye.
Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge.
Aye.
Schwarzy. Tornatore. Yu. Zay. And Cahill.
Okay, member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 009523, acceptance and appropriation of interest earned on investment for the DuPage Animal Friends Phase 2 Capital Project Grant, Company $5,000, $100,000.
Second. Leave.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 009623, acceptance of an extension of time and appropriation for the DuPage County Health Department Heroin Opioid Prevention and Education First Offender Court Unified for Success Court Grant in the amount of $14,600.
Leave.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 009723, acceptance and appropriation of the 35th Year Emergency Solutions Grant in the amount of $288,247.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 009823, acceptance and appropriation of the 32nd Year Home Investment Partnership Grant in the amount of $2,095,389.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 009923, acceptance and appropriation of the 49th Year Community Development Block Grant in the amount of $3,663,480.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. At this, I move to discharge the following items from within FIR 010023 from the Stormwater Committee for budget transfers regarding year-end accruals on stormwater projects and Denida wetland mitigation projects.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Okay.
Member Chaplin.
Okay. I move on FIR 010023, budget transfers for various companies and accounting units.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 010123, additional appropriation for the ARPA fund for small agency grant program, company 1100, $1,050,000.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 010323, additional appropriation for the ARPA fund for the Regional Office of Education, Company 1000, the amount of $62,500.
Leave is granted.
Thank you. I move approval of FIP 000223, recommendation for the approval of a contract to ODP Business Solutions for the purchase of office supplies for various county departments for the period of April 12th, 2023 through April 11th, 2024 for a contract total not to exceed $292,000.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIP 000323, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Sterno, Romello, and Durkin to provide professional assistance in the collective bargaining for the county board for the period of May 1st, 2023 through April 30th, 2024 for a contract total amount not to exceed $150,000.
Leave is granted. Member
Thank you.
Chaplin.
And finally, I move approval of 23-1287, amendment FIR 001721B, ratification of a side letter agreement between County of DuPage, the DuPage Sheriff, and the Metropolitan Alliance of Police, Chapter 126.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
That concludes it. Thank you.
Okay, 1 minute.
Oh, yeah.
Member Kajewski.
Yeah, I think back on that one, we had to do a motion to discharge committee and vote on it, and then we had to vote on it. I don't think we did that.
On 8, was it 8F?
8G.
100.
Okay, so we want to redo 8F,
8G.
8G.
Okay. Okay, 8G. Wait, we need to do 8F?
Just do them both again, just so we have it clear, because I think at the same point, I wasn't clear on what was being voted on.
You have,
Just do both. It's fine.
okay. I move approval of FIR 009923, acceptance and appropriation of the 49th Year Community Development Block Grant in the amount of $3,663,480.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Okay, great, thanks. I move to discharge the following items within FIR 010023 from the Stormwater Committee for budget transfers regarding year-end accruals on stormwater projects and Denata wetland mitigation.
Okay. Clerk, please take the roll. Just all ayes? Okay, all ayes. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're so funny.
Okay, now
Ha.
I move on FIR 010023 budget transfers for various companies and county units.
Leave is granted. Thank you,
And
Member
that concludes
Chaplin.
my report.
Okay. And now we're going to move on to Animal Services and Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on ASP 0048-23, recommendation for approval of contract purchase order to Nicor Gas for a total not to exceed $100,000.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Krajewski. Aye. LaPlante. Ozog. Aye. Rutledge.
Aye.
Shorzy. Tornatori.
Aye.
Yu. Zay. Aye. Cahill. Aye. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert.
Aye.
Desart. Eckhoff. Aye. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia. Aye. And Guston.
Okay, thank you, Member Krajewski. On to Development and Member Tonator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCR 0001-23, an intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and the Village of Glen Ellen
Second.
for inspections and permitting services.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Tornatori.
Aye.
Yu. Zay. Aye. Cahill. Aye. Chaplin. Aye. Childress. Covert.
Aye.
Desart. Eckhoff. Aye. Evans. Aye. Galassi. Garcia.
Aye.
Guston. Aye. Krajewski. Aye. LaPlante. Ozog. Aye. Rutledge.
Aye.
And Shorzy.
Okay, Member Tonator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCO 13-23, zoning 2230, Sunny Acres approval of conditional use for a banquet venue.
Leave is granted, Member Tonator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 10C, I move to continue item DCO 14-23, zoning 2252 Russo. The basis for this motion is that it would require a supermajority of 14 votes, and we only have 13 people in the room. So I'd like to continue this to the next county board meeting of April 11th, 2023.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd also move to continue item DCO 15-23, zoning 2261 VK acquisitions for the same reasons to April 11th, 2023.
All in favor? Okay, Member Tonator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move approval of DCO 17-23, zoning 23-000005, Clear Channel Outdoor LLC, approving a conditional use to allow
Second.
an electronic message center sign on the south side of an existing billboard sign.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Any discussion?
Is there, oh, I'm sorry, Member Schwarzy.
Thanks. So I heard this morning a couple different conflicting statements that it's not going to be shining in people's windows, and then I heard it is going to be shining in people's windows. Is there further explanation on that? Or?
There is, but you know what, I'm going to have, if you don't mind, I'm going to have Member Chaplin, because she had significant conversations with some of the parties in this.
Well, yeah, thank you. So, yesterday I talked to Paul Haas, and I asked about the lighting going to the homes, and the light's not going to shine in the houses. The way it is going to be on the street, it will not shine to the houses to the south. It's going to be directed at the road. So I'm not sure where they're coming up that it's going to shine into the homes, because talking with staff here, I was told that it's not going to be going into the homes. So.
Okay. Thank you very
much. That's my
much.
understanding as well.
Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair Conroy. as a photographer, light is something I know a little something about. And I would think that if that were in my neighborhood for the last 20 years as a statically illuminated board, I would agree that it's not going to be as annoying. But the fact that these messages are going to change, our brain has to look at that. And if I were in that neighborhood, I'd be very opposed to that. And so I cannot support this. Thank you.
Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, when these signs came up with the changing of signs, the county set standards that each these signs had to qualify with, and they're meeting those standards. And I know, as we talk about as a photographer or whatever, as a manufacturer, we use light too, but I don't know what that has to do with it. They have a static sign that is there now, that the light is on all the time. It doesn't dim, it doesn't get lighter, it doesn't get brighter, it doesn't do whatever, it stays the same. So they have met all the standards that are there. The public comment we got, again, we've talked with staff, that does not face the houses. And I've been told the 2 houses that was brought up that are underneath the sign have not submitted any testimony or any objection to these signs. So again, we set the standards, these signs are meeting the standards, that it's coming. The technology, you set a standard of 15 years on this, which is great, but the technology has gotten so much better from when these things started. They dim, they know what the atmosphere is, they can do it. It goes with the Dark Skies Initiative, that it goes back and forth, uses less light when it needs to, and is better than they used to be. So again, we've met all the standards. This Clear Channel has met all the standards, and we just can't come up with new standards as these things go. They met it, and I would ask for a yes vote. Thank you.
Okay, Member Ozog and then Member Chaplin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Over 10 years ago, neighbors to a Glenbard sports field were told that there would not be any spill of the light situation, and that's really not been the case. We went through a long, protracted protest in Glen Ellen. Compromises were made, which was fine, but I'm really concerned that this really would be impactful, so I'll be a no on this today. Thank you.
Member Chaplin.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So also, talking with staff yesterday, the county had a resolution, Paul, you might need help me a little bit about this, that whenever possible, people that come before our development committee are supposed to be in line with the Dark Skies initiative. So as far as I'm concerned, they are going to follow the Dark Skies requirements. Now, we may not be quite as, I think they're 1 candle, we're 3 candles, but, because I did have concerns at first, but talking with staff and finding out about a resolution that we really encourage them to follow these dark sky guidelines. Also, if the sign is bright and it's not following the guidelines, we can go out and check to make sure that it is within those, within our ordinance. So there's always a way to check to make sure that they're staying within that requirement too. So I'm comfortable with this at this point. So thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Tornatori.
Aye.
You. Zay. Aye. Cahill. No. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert.
Aye.
Desart. Eckhoff. Aye. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia.
Aye.
Guston. Aye. Krajewski. Aye. LaPlante. Ozog. No. Rutledge.
No.
And Schwarzy. Aye.
Okay, the motion passes 10-3.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCO 18-23, zoning 23-7, Mahmood, to approve a variation of reduced corner side setback from 30 feet to approximately 12.55.
Second.
Leave is granted. Member Tonator.
Roll call on this.
Whoop. Oh, I'm sorry.
We need a roll call.
Oh, roll call.
Tornatori.
Aye.
You. Zay. Aye. Cahill. Aye. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert.
Aye.
Desart. Eckhoff. Aye. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia.
Aye.
Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge.
Aye.
And Shorzy.
Okay, Member Tonatour.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCO 19-23 zoning 23-9 Gorecki to approve a variation to reduce the required lot size for 2 lots, service with well and sewer, and 2, a variation to reduce required lot width for 2 lots, service with well and sewer. Thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes my report.
Granted. Member Tonatour, thank you. Economic Development.
Good morning, everybody. Happy spring break to members LaPlante and Galassi, who are hopefully somewhere warm and sunny. So I am going to give their report this morning. First, I want to make some comments, though. As I begin the economic development report this morning, I'd like to highlight an employment success story. As you may have seen in the Daily Herald and on our social media, our WorkNet Career Center and our WorkNet Workforce Board are providing significant life-changing help to Ukrainian refugees who have arrived in DuPage County. You've all got copies of the Daily Herald story we've been promoting. If any of you have questions or want to learn more, our WorkNet Director Lisa Shavak can provide additional details. We'll be highlighting these success stories to help get out the word and let people know WorkNet is the place to go for career advice, job training, and unemployment services. So thanks for sharing these stories and supporting WorkNet. And on to the agenda items. I'll ask for a motion on 23-1216, the authorization for the Director of Workforce Development to attend the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Summit held in beautiful East Peoria, Illinois from May 11th, 23 to May 12th, 23. Expenses to include registration, transportation, lodging, and per diems for a total not to exceed $705.08.
It has been moved and seconded. Please, roll call, please.
Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge.
Aye.
Shorzy. Tornatori. Yu. Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert. Desart. Eckhoff. Evans. And Galassi.
Okay, Member Rutledge.
Thank you. Next, I'll ask for a motion on 23-1217, also the authorization for Workforce Board Manager to attend the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Summit in East Peoria, same dates, May 11th through May 12th, 23. Expenses to include registration, transportation, lodging, and per diems for a total not to exceed $402.32.
No,
I'm asking.
no, you want to make the motion. You want to make
I'm sorry.
You want to make the motion. You don't want to ask.
Thank
for it.
you. I'll make that motion.
Okay, leave is granted. Thank you, Member Rutledge. And now to Environment and Member
Yes.
Rutledge.
Thank you. Yes. Oh, stop. So a couple things I wanted to highlight this morning. I don't have any agenda items, but in your Sunday Tribune, you often get this Naperville magazine. And I just want to highlight that on page 24, one of our environmental partners, Kay McKean with Scarce, has a lovely article. So I suggest you all look that up because she does amazing work for our county. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about this morning that here we are again, it seems every year, the UN climate report came out last week, talking about dire consequences if we do not start hitting these benchmarks, the ones that we have said, oh my God, we can't get past this benchmark at this date, are quickly slipping through our fingers. So I hope that all of my board members will join me in doing all we can to urge others that may not be as worried about climate change as we are to get everybody on that bandwagon, because tornado in Mississippi just yesterday and the tornadoes that we had in January, these things are going to keep escalating unless we do a better job of cleaning our atmosphere. So I'll ask for all your help in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Rutledge. And on to Human Services and Member Schwarzy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know it's only March, but I did hand out a flyer. You should have it at your desk. It's about the DuPage Care Center Foundation's 19th annual golf outing and dinner. It's never too early to start planning for this. On June 16th, the DuPage Care Center Foundation, in partnership with the Tony Reyes Family Foundation, will host its 19th annual golf outing and dinner at Prairie Landing Golf Club in West Chicago. People from all over DuPage County will come together on this day for lunch, 18 holes of golf, raffles, and dinner, all for the benefit of the 300-plus individuals who call the DuPage Care Center home. This year is especially exciting as we look forward to the major renovations of the Care Center facilities. Lunch begins at noon with the shotgun start at 1, and beginning at 6 p.m. we gather for dinner and announce the day's raffle winners. You may also choose just to attend for dinner only. Early bird registration is now available through April 28th, and registration can be completed at dpccfoundation.org. So please sign up. With that, I move to approve item 231198, HHSP 0130A22, an amendment to resolution HHSP 013022 issued to Bright Star Care of Central DuPage for supplemental nursing staff for the DuPage Care Center for the period of April 13, 2022 through April 12, 2023 to increase encumbrance in the amount of $44,760 and 11.36% increase.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Schwarzy.
Aye.
Tornatori. Aye. Yu. Zay. Aye. Cahill. Aye. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert.
Aye.
Desart. Eckhoff. Aye. Evans. Aye. Kolasi. Garcia. Aye. Guston. Krajewski. Aye. LaPlante. Ozog. Aye. And Rutledge.
Aye.
Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move on item 231199, HHSP 0128A22, an amendment to HHSP 012822, a contract purchase order 575800001 serve issued to Nova Staff Healthcare Services for supplemental nursing staff for the period April 13, 22 through April 12, 23 to increase encumbrance in the amount of $50,000, resulting in a new contract total of $964,000, a 5.47% increase.
Leave is granted. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move to approve item 231202, Community Services Administrator to attend the annual Illinois Association of Community Action Agencies Learning Conference in Springfield, Illinois from April 30th, 23 through May 2nd, 23. Expenses to include registration, lodging, miscellaneous expenses, and per diems for the approximate total amount of $1,282.
Leave is granted. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move to approve item 231203, Family Self-Sufficiency Case Manager to attend the annual Illinois Association of Community Action Agencies Families of Distinction Award ceremony in Springfield, Illinois from April 30th, 23 through May 1st, 23. Expenses to include lodging, miscellaneous expenses, and per diems for the approximate total of $441.
Leave is granted. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move to approve item 231204, Community Services Manager to attend the National Alliance of Information and Referral 2023 Training Conference in Orlando, Florida from July 30th of 23 through August 2nd of 23. Expenses to include registration, transportation, lodging, miscellaneous expenses, and per diems for the approximate total of $1,986.
Leave is granted. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move to approve item 231205, Community Services Director to attend the NACO Board of Directors meeting in St. George County, Utah from May 15th of 23 through May 19th, 23. Expenses to include registration, transportation, lodging, miscellaneous expenses, and per diems in the approximate total amount of $2,840.50.
Leave is granted. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move to approve item 231206, a Case Manager Coordinator to attend the annual Illinois Association of Community Action Agencies Families of Distinction Award ceremony in Springfield, Illinois from April 30th, 23 through May 1st of 23. Expenses to include lodging, miscellaneous expenses, expenses and per diems for approximate total amount of $441.90.
Leave is granted. Member Schwarzy.
Thank you very much. And finally, I move to approve item HSP 5223, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Ecolab, Inc. for laundry chemicals for the DuPage Care Center for the period April 24th, 23 through April 23rd, 24, for the total contract not to exceed $32,000.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Schwarzy. On to Judicial and Public Safety, and Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to move to approve JPS CO 000223, recommendation for the approval of an amendment to Resolution JPSP 009322 for a change order amending purchase order 57290001 serve issued to Trinity Services Group to provide inmate and officer meals at the DuPage County Jail, to extend the contract through May 31st, 2023, and to increase the contract in the amount of $135,000, resulting in an amended contract total amount not to exceed $719,182.50.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatore. Yu. Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Covert.
Aye.
Desart. And Eckhoff.
Okay, Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to move to approve JPSR 005423, intergovernmental agreement with Bloomingdale Township for police services for a total amount of $129,940.58.
Leave is granted. Member Evans.
Thank you. I move to approve JPSR 005523, intergovernmental agreement with Milton Township for police services for a total amount of $389,821.73.
Leave is granted. Member Evans.
Thank you. I move to approve JPSR 005623, intergovernmental agreement with Wayne Township for police services for a total amount of $129,940.58.
Leave is granted. Member Evans.
Thank you. I move to approve JPSR 005723, intergovernmental agreement with York Township for police services for a total amount of $129,940.58.
Leave is granted. Member Evans.
Thank you. I move to approve JPSR 005823, intergovernmental housing agreement between DuPage County and Kennel County for the housing of prisoners.
Leave is granted. Member Evans.
Thank you. I move to approve JPSP 004823, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Peter M. King of King Holloway LLC to provide professional services as a conflict attorney assigned to juvenile cases for this period May 1st, 2023 through April 30th, 2024, for a contract total amount not to exceed $42,000.
Leave is granted. Member Evans.
Thank you. I move to approve JPSP 004923, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Kruger International, Inc. for the purchase of audience seating for various courtrooms for the period of March 28th, 2023 through November 30th, 2023 for a total contract amount of $79,891.50.
Leave is granted. Member Evans.
Thank you. Now I move to approve JPSP 005023, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Central Square for professional services and software for the electronic citation platform for the period April 1st, 2023 through March 31st, 2026 for a total contract amount of $1,241,296.88.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Evans.
Thank you.
Item 15 is our legislative update. I don't think Member Desart is on. Okay, we'll move on to item 16, Public Works, and Member Garcia.
Thank you, Chair Conroy. As a committee update, I just wanted to welcome a new staff member. We've got Ian Johnstone, who has been hired as our capital project energy analyst. So we'll be dealing with a lot of new sustainable issues through him. So we're very excited to have him come aboard. So I just wanted to make sure that we all welcome him. I'm moved to approve PWP 002923, recommendation for the approval of an agreement between the County of DuPage, Illinois, and Christopher B. Burke Engineering Limited for on-call professional engineering services for water systems in Lake Michigan allocation for various regions around DuPage County for the period of
Second.
March 28, 2023 to June 30th, 2026 for a total amount not to exceed $95,000.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Garcia.
Aye.
Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge.
Aye.
Schwarzy. Tornatori. Yu. Zay. Cahill. Chaplin. Childress. Covert.
Aye.
Desart. Eckhoff. Evans.
Aye.
And Galassi.
Member Garcia.
I move to approve PWP 003023, recommendation for the approval of a contract to LMK Technologies, Inc. for lateral lining materials and equipment repair as needed for Public Works for a 4-year period of March 28, 2023 to March 31st,
Second, Ms.
2027
Greenwald, roll.
for a contract not to amount $120,000.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
I move to approve FMP 005223, recommendation for the approval of a contract to A&P Grease Trappers, Inc. for sanitary grease trap and storm basin pumping, jetting, and cleaning as needed for the county campus for facilities management for the period of April 14, 2023 through April 13, 2024 for a total contract amount not to exceed $82,950.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
I move to approve FMP 005323, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Dynamic Industrial Services, Inc. to provide fuel tank rehab painting at the power plant for facilities management for the period of March 29, 2023 through November 30th, 2023 for a total contract not to exceed $46,000.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
I move to approve FMP 005423, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Petroleum Traders Corporation to furnish and deliver off-road diesel fuel as needed for the power plant and standby power facility for the period of April 1st,
Second, Ms.
2023 through
Greenwald.
March 31st, 2024 for facilities management for a contract not to exceed $101,000.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
I move to approve FMP 005523, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Thompson Electronics Company for preventative maintenance, testing, and repair of the Edwards Systems Technology fire panels for the county campus for facilities management for the 2-year period of April 14, 2023 through April 13, 2025 for a total contract amount not to exceed $121,500.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
I move to approve FMP 005723, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Metropolitan Industries, Inc. to provide pump repairs, replacement pump parts, and replacement Metropolitan pumps as needed for the county campus for facilities management for the 2-year period of April 14, 2023 through April 13, 2025 for a total contract amount not to exceed $60,000.
Second most favorable roll.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
I motion to approve FMP 005823, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Hampton, Lenzini, and Renwick, Inc. to provide professional architectural and engineering design services for sidewalk repairs on county campus for facilities management for the period of March 28, 2023
Second most
through
favorable roll.
November 30th, 2024 for a total contract amount not to exceed $121,560.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
And finally, I move to approve FMP 005923, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Facility Gateway Corporation to provide uninterrupted power supply, preventative maintenance, and on-call emergency repair service as needed for facilities management and the Emergency Telephone System Board for the 2-year period of April
Second most
1st,
favorable roll.
2023 through March 30th, 2025 for an contract amount not to exceed $74,773.30.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Garcia. And on to strategic planning and Member Colbert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SPP 000123, approval of a contract purchase order issued to Barry, Dunn, McNeil, and Parker LLC to provide professional consultation services related to the implementation of the DuPage County Strategic Plan for the period March 28, 2023 through March 28, 2024 for a contract total amount not to exceed $79,600.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Covert.
Aye.
Desart. Eckhoff. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatori. Yu. Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
And Childress.
Okay, and on to transportation and thank you. Member Ozog.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval of 231160 DTR 0283A21, amendment to resolution DTR 028321 issued to H&H Electric Company for traffic signal uninterrupted power supply and communication upgrades to increase the funding in the amount of $18,559.98, resulting in an amended contract total amount of $796,228.10, an increase of 2.39%.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Ozog.
Aye.
Rutledge.
Aye.
Schwarzy. Tornatore. You. Zay. Cahill. Chaplin. Childress. Covert.
Aye.
Desart. Eckhoff. Evans.
Aye.
Colossi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. And LaPlante.
Okay, Member Ozog.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTR 0336A21, amendment to resolution DTR 033621, issued to Thorn Electric Incorporated for the traffic signal improvements along County Highway 23, Gary Avenue, St. Charles Road to Geneva Road, Section 21, to increase the funding in the amount of $59,701.76, resulting in an amended contract total amount of $875,562.33.
Leave is granted. Member Ozog.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTR 005723, awarding resolution issued to Superior Road Striping for the 2023 pavement marking maintenance program for an estimated county cost of $495,624.95 per low bid.
Leave is granted. Member Ozog.
Thank you. And I move for approval of DTP 005523, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Al Warren Oil Company to furnish and deliver gasoline and diesel fuel as needed for the Division of Transportation and Public Works for the period April 1st, 2023 through March 31st, 2024, for a contract total not to exceed $1,750,000 per low bid.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Ozog.
Thank you.
Okay, and on to old business. Do any members have any old business they'd like to talk about? Okay. And new business. Any members with new business? Oh, Member Eckhoff.
Speaking of mental health, I have had some of these little flyers put over on the table. There's a mental health symposium that's being sponsored with the DuPage County Bar Association on Friday, April 21, 2023 at the Studio Movie Grill. And I thought it'd be a good idea for as many of us as possible to go to this. One, so we get a baseline idea as to what the mental health issues are. Two, you get a box lunch. And three, our DuPage County Board Chairwoman, Deborah Conroy, is giving the opening remarks. So I thought it'd be good if we went, supported her. My partner and I are going. We paid the $75, but it's only $40 for the county board members to go. So just an idea.
Thank you, Member Eckhoff. Okay. And I'm informed we do not have any executive session. Okay, well, I guess I missed that one. All in favor? Yep. Okay, adjourned. We are adjourned until Tuesday, April 11th, 2023 at 10 a.m.